This video is going to show you how to make the extended visualization for task 1.2, global temperature, and we're going to make a prediction to the year 2100. So let's look at the data. So this is the data we're going to be using, the temperature data, the global yearly temperature data for the planet, and we've got this data here going from 1850 down to the year 2018. Now, before I start editing this data, I'm actually going to duplicate it, because if I make any mistakes here or change any of this data, I might accidentally change this chart, which would then change on your website. Let me just show you an example. If I was to change this data here to 7 and go through here, you'll see a big spike there. So it's actually a live chart, which is updated live by the data. And I don't want to risk that happening when I put that on my website. So I'm going to make a new sheet by pressing the plus icon in the bottom left corner of the screen. And I'm going to rename that 2100 prediction. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here, get this data, copy and paste it across, Control C on a PC, Command C on a Mac, and then paste it in here. Now I've got no worries about changing the data or playing with it because it won't affect this chart that I've already made. So I'm going to add another title in, prediction, and here I'm going to calculate the difference. So let's scroll down the page. First of all, I'm going to replicate my year data, so I know I need to do that down to the year 2100. So I'm just going to select a chunk of it and replicate. Now remember, you don't select just one and replicate because it actually just duplicates. No, we're going to select a chunk, it's more than 3, and then you are going to replicate that down the page. So just 30 more. Okay, year 2100. Now I'm going to work out the difference change in my temperature data. So just like we did in task 1.1, I'm going to do a simple calculation. Equals, click on that cell, minus, click on the cell above it. There we go, enter. So now I'm going to replicate that data up the page, and there we go, there's 10 years of averages. And now in the cell beneath it, I can work out the average of all those changes. And I go to the functions button, average, there we go. So there's my average change over a 10-year period. Now I can work out my prediction to the future. So in this cell here, I'm going to work out my first value. So I'm going to say equals my latest correct value plus my average change. Enter. So now I need to make a formula that I can replicate down the page. Because I can't replicate this, it won't work. So in the cell beneath it, I'm going to make my replicatable formula by pressing equals. Then I'm going to click on my latest correct value, then plus, then I'm going to add on my average change, but then I'm going to make this one absolute, so it's anchored to this cell by pressing the F4 key, which is added in the dollar signs, and I'm going to press enter and then replicate that down the page. Great, so there's our data. So now we can make a chart. Click on B, go insert chart. So there's the same chart as we've seen before. You should recognize that. We're now going to add in our data. So add the x-axis data, which is the year. And we see we've got a bit of a gap there. So now we're going to add in our prediction, which is the C column. There you go. Right, so nearly there. Just a few things to tidy up. It's not given that legend a name for some reason. Not quite sure why it's not done that, because we did enter that data into the cell. Let's see if we remove that row. Yes, so it was the blank row at the top of the page was mucking that up. So now we've got the titles. So I can add my title, temperature prediction to the year 2100. This one was deviation in degrees see. And at the bottom, we had year. There we go. So now we can move that to its own sheet. Great, and that looks like a really good chart. So we can now use this chart to answer these questions. Okay, so for example, what are temperatures predicted to be like in the year 2100? So we follow that along. So it'd say over 2 degrees going on current data. Over 2 degrees change. Right, that is how you make the chart. Once you've completed that, you then need to complete the write-up following the standard template. And then you've completed task 1.2, going towards your assignment for term 4. Well done.